Morning, Vinita. Good morning, Modula. So, today we are going to discuss the question answers of this poem. Dear students, and as I finish teaching you these, you know, lessons, you please do update your notebook, right? That is very important. Bhargavi, good morning. So, what I was saying, you please keep updating, right? That is very important because she. Good morning, Prajwal, Krutika, Akanksha, um, Ronald, Manas B, Madhu, Nidhu. Okay, so dear students, yeah, what I was saying was like, please do update the notebook as and when I finish the lesson. And before only the NCERT questions you need to update on your notebook. The extra questions you can study directly from my website, right? Extra questions no need to write down on the notebook. From the website itself you can take preparation of the extra questions. Only the NCERT questions you need to write down on your English notebook, right? So, dear students, let us start discussing our like this poem, question answers of this poem. Okay. So here, as you can see, okay, here, what does the cardboard denote in the poem? Cardboard denotes a thick hard paper which has been used as a support to frame photos. The cardboard carries the photograph of the poetess's mother when she was merely 12 years old. The word has been used to convey the message that it has survived the onslaught of time to show the smiling face of a 12-year-old girl who has lived and died a long time ago. The word also symbolically represents the transitory life of human beings against the permanence of any art form. Right? So, dear students, please remember these are some of the value points and the core words of every answer, words and phrases of every answer you need to recall, remember, so that you can make use of them in your in writing the answers in the exam. Okay, like for example here, code word, phrase or sentence, like here, the cardboard carries the photograph of the poetess's mother when she was merely 12 years old. There is important information while writing this answer, right? And then this is very important. The word has been used because to convey the message that it has survived the onslaught of time to show the smiling face of a 12-year-old girl who has lived and died a long time ago. So this is also a very important value point for the answer, right? For this answer, what is the answer question? Why has the cardboard been used in the poem? Why has the cardboard been used in the poem? Understood? So please do remember these value points and do use them in your writing, because what happens, dear students, like sometimes while writing the answers the students write from their mind. So what happens if they do not have good vocabulary or appropriate word and phrase for the answer? In that case they end up making the mess of the answer. Okay, so it's important for us to remember at least the core words, phrases, and sentence, which are a very important part of a particular, uh, like question, right? So that is why you please do remember at least these few words, like as I told you, survive the onslaught. See, beautiful word, survive the onslaught of time. Okay, means it has survived the timeline. Actually, it has survived the timeline. Okay, it has not become destroyed with time, right? So the photograph cardboard um, of the photograph has survived the onslaught of time to show the smiling face of a 12-year-old girl. When the photograph was taken, the poetess's mother was just 12-year-old, right? As I told you the setting yesterday, the the poetess's mother was flanked by two of her cousins on both the sides, right? On both the sides. So you have to remember that the poetess's mother was 12-year-old when the photograph was taken, right? And this cardboard containing that photograph of the poetess's mother has survived the onslaught of time. So this is very important, this phrase, onslaught of time. So please do write such phrases in your answers, okay? Onslaught of time. Because see, with your age, with your, what is that called, class, your vocabulary has to improve, right? So, being a student of class 11, you cannot afford to use the vocabulary which the students of class 9 or class 8 are using. Your vocabulary should be better than the previous class students, okay? Right, like for example, your vocabulary should be better than a class 9 student or a class 10 student, okay? With every grade the vocabulary should also be upgraded, okay? Not only your syllabus content, but also the knowledge of vocabulary should also be upgraded, because like gradually, slowly and steadily, you are stepping into the into the higher education, right? So as you step into higher education, what happens, dear students? You need to develop your communication skill, number one, because it is one of the most important challenges for many students. Understood? And it is very important for each one of you during the time of interview, okay? During the time of interview, as well as during the time of your during the time when you join the job, you need to have a very good communication skill that will ensure a quick promotion in the workplace, right? That is why now the time is coming gradually for you to improve your vocabulary, to enhance your language, your communication skill. So how can you enhance your communication skill? How can you enhance your language skill? You can enhance your language skill by listening to good language, okay? Listening to good language. So where will you get the good language from, right? Good languages are not floating in the air, but you are very fortunate. You have YouTube at your disposal, you have Spotify at your disposal, you have Amazon Music at your disposal, you have Google Podcast at your disposal. So you listen to good creators of podcasts, okay, as well as YouTube videos, right? I shall certainly share with you some of the good, like young generation, the youth icons of YouTube, okay? So before we go ahead with our thing, lesson, first of all, I would like to have a discussion regarding this. So you tell me, do or any one of you does any one of you know a youth icon on YouTube who has a lot of influential power, which has influenced the young generation immensely? So can you please name at least one or two, at least two youth icons, okay, on YouTube, who has a huge fan following, as well as who you can learn a lot of things from? Can you please text me the name of at least one name? Can you text me before we go ahead with our lesson? Okay, so you keep texting me. I'll see later on. Okay, so next is, you see, the word cardboard symbolically represents the transitory life of human beings against the permanence of any art form, right? Any art form, be it performing art or visual art, it can be any kind of art form that is permanent against the transience of human life. So, cardboard is also a symbol of an art form which has survived the onslaught of time. Therefore, it is a stark comparison between something that is transient in nature, something that is very temporary in nature, and those which are perennial or permanent in nature. So it's a stark contrast between these two, you can say, very practical aspects of this universe. Okay, this is the hardcore reality. Human beings, whatever they try, whatever achievements they tend to garner, okay, their art will remain, their work will remain, but the very human being will not be with us. So here the cardboard represents the transitory life of human beings. The person that is portrayed, that is there in the cardboard, is transitory in nature, but the cardboard itself is permanent in nature because it has survived the onslaught of time. Understood? Therefore, human in indirectly the human beings have been compared to the permanence of any art form. The transitory nature of human beings has been compared to the permanence of art form in this poem with the imagery of cardboard, with the image of cardboard, with the symbol of cardboard, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next question, which is what has the camera captured? So it's very simple. It's a very straightforward answer. Okay, the camera has captured three girls on a sea beach, or during sea holidays. Okay, the poetess's mother being in the middle, and she's flanked by two of her cousins, right, on either side, right. And if you want to give some additional information, you can also write each one of the two cousins was holding the hand of the poetess's mother. Okay, each of the two cousins was holding the hand of the poetess's mother. So it's a very simple question. So let's move on to the next question. What has not changed over the years? Does this suggest something to you? Okay. Yes, the concept I've already discussed with you in the previous question also. The same concept is carried forward here. See, like the cardboard is an instance of example of permanence of art form. Likewise, the sea beach in the poem is an example of permanence. Okay, it is the example of the perennial form of nature, the perennial nature of nature, you can say. Okay, the perennial characteristics of nature. Okay, so that is represented by the example of the sea beach, because sea beach is the local or location in which the poetess mother got photographed with two of her cousins, right? So that particular location is very important here. The location is still there, but neither of the three human beings has survived. They have all died, right? Therefore, the location that is represented by the sea beach here, that is a symbol of permanence, right? That is something which is perennial in nature. That is what goes on and on and on, which is a part of nature. That has not changed over the years. So, write a straightaway answer. What has not changed over the years? The sea, which is a part of perennial nature, has not changed over the years. That's it. Now, next part. Does this suggest something to you? Yes, of course. This does suggest the permanence of nature. Nature is perennial, whereas human beings are transitory in this world. This is what you have to write, right? In the first stanza, you might have seen the cardboard has been, like the cardboard and the person inside the cardboard, okay, are the examples of permanence versus temporary state of human beings, right? And here in the second stanza is the sea, which is the example of permanence, whereas the people who have been photographed onto the sea beach are the examples of transitory nature of human beings, right? So let's move on to the next question. What is the next question? Let's find out. The poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate? Okay, that is a little bit of tricky question. What? Because it's not given in directly in the poem. It's just mentioned, but it's not given directly. So they are called HOTS or high order thinking skills. Okay, so you've got to use your global comprehension of the poem. There are two levels of understanding, dear students. One is insightful learning or insightful understanding, or another is superficial understanding. Okay, so you require the global comprehension of the poem to be able to answer this particular question, right? So let us discuss this answer. The poet's mother laughed at the snapshot. What did this laugh indicate? So we can say that this laugh on the part of the poet's mother indicates that she became nostalgic. She became nostalgic because as I asked you yesterday, and you people are able to answer me correctly, like we get photographed or we take photographs because of creating memories for every tomorrow, right? So the same thing happened with the poetess's mother. 30 to 40 years later, because she was very tender in age when she got photographed with her cousins, two cousins at the sea beach. She was just 12 years old. So 30, 40 years later, when she was recollecting her past and the location where she got photographed with two of her cousins, at that moment she became nostalgic. Okay, and she was living through the pleasurable moments of her past at that point of time when she was recollecting her past. So that is what you have to write exactly in the answer. Okay, you got to write she lived that pleasurable moments with her cousins and uncle. Of course, uncle was not a part of the photograph; he was taking the photo on the sea beach in her living memory. So this is what should be the part of your answer. First, you write the value point, nostalgic point. Second of all, you have to write that she was living through the pleasurable moments with a recollection of her photograph with the cousins and uncles on the beach, and that is living in her memory. Okay, and as she was going through the pleasurable moment, she was wearing a smile on her face as she was looking back. Right. Next. What is the meaning of the line? Both arrive the labored ease of loss. That is very important. That is, and most important for the exam point of view, as well as it's very important concept also. See what happens. There are two kinds of losses. One kind of loss, we can sort of negotiate with relatively less effort, but there are some kinds of losses which take a lot of time to heal, which take a lot of time to come to terms with, right? So here, the poetess's loss here in this poem is the loss of her mom, because she was not fortunate enough to be getting the opportunity of growing up with her mom. So that is a loss which is very, very, you can say, deep in her mind. That is the loss that is irreparable for her actually. Okay, she cannot sort of repair this loss. Okay, so but she has to come to terms with the reality, hardcore reality of life. So with lot of effort, she tried to negotiate the loss, a great loss of her life. So that is what is the meaning of labored ease of loss. Labored. She had to do a lot of labor. She had to do a lot of effort. She has to put in a lot of effort to be able to forget her mom's memory. Right? So that is what is mentioned here with the phrase labored ease of loss. And as you know, dear students, time is a great leveler. It levels everything. Okay, time is a great leveler. Okay, so gradually, with passage of time, people tend to forget a lot of pain. Even though the poetess still remembers the pain, it is a pain. It is a deep scar in her mind, which is never going to heal, right? But still, she said, with lot of effort, she was trying to forget, but still it keeps haunting her time and again. So you have to write the answer in this manner. The mother had to reconcile to the loss of her happiness. See, it's a loss for both. Why is the word both written here? Both has been written because for mom it's the loss of her whole life. For mom, her like teenage pleasure, teenage memories is something that she was missing when she was looking back at her own photograph 30 or 40 years after. That is a great loss for her mom. That sea holiday with uncle taking the photograph. That is a great loss for her mom. Okay, uh, but that is a loss for, like, that is a general loss. Okay, that is not our concern. Our concern is the loss that the poetess has undergone. The poet had to come to terms with the loss of her mother's beautiful smile because she was not having the privilege of growing up with her mom. Okay, she died at the time of the childbirth. Okay, so that is what she misses very much. Okay, so that is what she had to come to terms with a lot of effort. So, and then in the last line you'll write, both have suffered a sense of loss which is hard to accept. Okay, for mom it's her sea holiday, and for the daughter it's her mom's beautiful smile that is captured in the photograph. Okay, why is she missing her mom's beautiful smile? Because she was not having the privilege of growing up with her mom. Okay, and both have suffered a sense of loss which is hard to accept. So that is the meaning of both rhyme with the labor ease of loss. Please prepare this answer. This is very important for the exam point of view. Okay, next, what does this circumstance refers to? This circumstance here, you have to see which circumstance the poet refers to here. This circumstance here refers to the moment which caused due to the poet's mother. And death of her mother had created a vacuum or in the life of the poet. Okay, a kind of a void or gap, you can say. The death of her mother had created a, a gap in the life of the poet, an irreparable gap in the life of the poet. So that is what is the circumstances refers to here, right? The circumstances here refers to the time when she had to recall, okay, the fact that she is no longer, she did not have the privilege of growing up with her mom, and that particular thought makes the circumstances moment very very serious. Okay, so the death of her mom had created a huge gap in the life of the poet. Next question, you see, the three stanzas depict three different phases. What are they? Okay, we have three stanzas in the poem, and all these three stanzas have different point of view. Okay, like themes actually, right? Three phases. Theme is the same only, but phases are different. So first phase depicts the mother as a 12-year-old girl who went on a beach holiday with her two cousins. Second phase depicts the poet's mother as a middle-aged woman who laughs at the memory of her childhood photo. And third phase depicts the tinge of sadness and repentance on the part of the poet at having lost her mother, who has been shown to have died. Right? So these are the three different phases of the poem that we have to remember. In the first stanza, It was the poet's mother who got photographed with her cousins uh, when she was 12 years old, and during the time when they went for a beach holiday, right? Second stanza was focusing on the recollection or nostalgic moment of the poet's mother when, as a middle aged woman, she was laughing at the memory of her childhood photo. And the third phase depicts the tinge of sadness and repentance, of course, okay, that the poetess had undergone for having lost her mom, who has been shown to have died long back. Okay, so that's about it. These are some of the important questions, and there are some questions for practice given. So you can also write, like, for example, why is the poem titled Photograph? Why do you think is the poem titled Photograph? How does the poet contrast the terribly transient fate with the sea? Then, what does the poet mean by the sea holiday was a past, mine is a laughter? What is labor is of loss? And what does the poet mean by its silent silences? Right. That is also important. Dear students, see, like, for example, uh, what does the poet mean by its silent silences? Okay, they can pick up any sentence or any phrase from the poem and ask you to write the meaning of this. Okay, so you have to write the meaning. Its silent silences is very important. You can sort of prepare it. The silence caused due to the death of her mother. Silence is the poet as well. She is just speechless when she is reminded of the moment when her mom died. And this circumstance means the circumstance here refers to the moment pertaining to the death of the poetess's mother. Okay, so and then, as you can see here, both Rai is important. Labor days I will explain to you. Then you can say here transient feet, you can see human feet are personified here. Human feet are personified as having a short lifespan as against immortal nature. So these are some of the important idioms that you need to you can write down on your English notebook also. Okay, like first you complete the NCERT question answers, and then you write down these idioms, uh, like how are they used in the poem, like transient feat. What is the relevance of transient feat? What did the poet mean by transient feat? Okay, so you can write down transient feat. Then you can write down which appears to have changed less. Okay, then you can write down labor days of life. Then you can write down uh, this circumstance. Then as many years as that girl lived, then its silence silences. Okay, so these are some of the important phrases from this poem. So please do update your notebook on a regular basis, especially the NCERT questions and answers. The extra questions you can study on my website itself. No need to write them down. Just the NCERT questions you write down, and of course these expressions from the poem you write down. The words, the phrases that I've just discussed with you. Please do write down in your notebook. Okay. So that's it for the day, dear students. You please text me your presence before we eventually sign out of this platform, right? So dear students, that's it for the day. We shall begin a new lesson tomorrow. Okay, if you have any query, you can please text me later on. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care and have a nice day. Thank you.